or break it down Space Force visual effects style.
Hey everyone, welcome back to AsArt with Nick and John. We post 3 times a week, so check out AsArt.space for all the audio and video links. So Nick, this is basically, well, it's not The Office in space, but I don't even know how to describe this. I mean, did this come out of nowhere? You told me about this. Did this just come out of nowhere, or
No.
had this been announced for quite a while?
I think it's been announced for quite a while. They got the creator and writer of The Office and Steve Carell back, and Steve Carell's also a writer on this. And I think maybe it's their attempt to save or get a little bit of The Office because The Office is leaving the platform.
Because it lost it. Yeah.
So.
Now, has Steve Carell, has he done quite a bit of writing? Does he have that credit? Or is this
I don't
his
know,
first
but
time?
this is his first time back to a TV show format since The Office. Because he's only did films. So
yeah, I guess he definitely departed for film and stuff. But honestly, I thought it was pretty fun. I mean, I don't know why, because you never got this in The Office, but whenever he loses it, he's like, mother effer, son of a... Like, I started laughing the hardest at those parts. And I know that's like maybe poor taste, but I guess that's my taste because I thought it was hilarious.
Dude, he did such a good job playing this character.
Yeah,
let's
for sure.
go into the rocket launch because it's so interesting because like this weekend too, SpaceX just launched a rocket into space too. So it's just like, was this planned?
Almost like current events, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Did you think the effects were done in Unreal? Like, I could swear everything's done in a game engine now when it comes to rendering.
You know what? Especially on a comedy. I mean, it's funny because I don't think it's a movie that people think about very often. But the highest budget visual effects comedy, maybe not biggest budget overall, but just high end visual effects I remember in a comedy movie was it's called This Is the End. It had like James Franco and Seth Rogen.
It was like a zombie, it was like the end of the world.
It was just like, right? The end of the world, like apocalypse, like, hell opening up. But that had some crazy visual effects in it. But since that, or other than that, I can't really think. Like usually comedies, it can get by with cheesier because it's just trying to be funny, right? Yeah. But I mean, now that The Mandalorian has kind of been the poster child for using game engine stuff, and it's been done before, and now other companies are coming out and saying, yeah, we've been using game engine technology for a while now, it just wasn't public knowledge. Who knows? Maybe. I'd be fascinated to know. I'm like really curious. Did you feel like
the quality, I feel like the quality of the render, especially of the animals, like it wasn't like full on realistic, which I kind of liked. I prefer these animals to the Call of the Wild animal, like the dog. Which is crazy because that's like a huge budget movie. And this is just a Netflix first season original show.
It's cute though.
Like the budget is
high. There might have been a few factors in there. One is I might be wrong on this, but I feel like Netflix doesn't have quite the same budget as say like HBO. Like when you can't. So Nick and I remember we got a comment when someone was going back and watching all of our Witcher videos, and they're like, "Man, you really rip on The Witcher a lot." And I forgot to go back and comment on that. But it's not that The Witcher wasn't fun and cool. It's just we're spoiled from seeing HBO quality visual effects and streaming content, and of course films. And the Netflix stuff is perfectly great. Like Nick and I couldn't sit down and just do the Witcher effects. Like that's huge teams and
well, maybe now with Unreal. No,
but I mean, but it's good stuff. But it's just Netflix maybe doesn't have the same budget. But then also, if they could have got it to the quality of, say, every time I saw the chimpanzee on screen, I was thinking of Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. But those are huge film productions. And if you get close to that, but not there, now, like you said, you're in the Call of the Wild uncanny valley where it just feels weird. Whereas here, it's not meant to look ultra, it looks passable.
Yeah, it's totally passable.
But it makes it look funny, and it's the animation that makes it funny, not the visuals.
And like the whole sign language, like there is no bananas on the ship. I can't smell them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's frozen bananas.
It's so good. But like even like I love like the perspective too. This is why I think it was in the game because like or in Unreal or something because they had like all the different camera angles going at once. where it's like it's looking down, it's looking, and he's like they're trying to pinpoint the object for him to take and all this stuff. And I just like it just like I'm like this could have easily been done in Unreal because like space you can get away with a lot with lighting and the darkness and. Yeah.
What about I kind of skipped ahead. What about the rocket launch? Do you feel like the rocket launch looked fine or?
Oh, I thought the rocket launch looks fine. Yeah. Like I thought the smoke effects were good. Yeah, all the explosion.
Hard.
Oh man, the scene with the explosion though. I love how they did it where it's just on the glass, like the whole reflection. The whole time.
I thought as far as and this is something Nick and I came to appreciate about The Witcher as well, is if you just look at it from framing and maybe not pure visual effects, special effects, but just the artistic choices are really, really good. It's just fun. You just see the red on there. You see a little bit of reflection. It's like, well, it's not ready yet. How much did that cost? $4 million? No, 4 middle schools. We could have built 4 middle schools with that.
That's so good.
Just and you have to credit Steve Carell and the people he's acting with because they're reacting to basically nothing unless they were doing the Mandalorian projection, which I doubt they were. They're probably just reacting to literally nothing. There is no chimpanzee there. He's just and then they just fill it in later, which is hilarious. But he did Evan Almighty, so he's used to doing this. He has practice doing this, I guess, right?
Yeah. No, that's true. He did Evan Almighty, and he did some other stuff too.
Oddly enough.
What was I going to say? That was a good point you brought up because I know we're going to do another video.
I brought up a good point.
We're going to do another video on the Mandalorian VFX. So if you subscribe to the channel, we're going to do like an in-depth study and stuff like that. But Carl Weathers said in an interview in the thing,
Weathers,
Weathers. Sorry. He was talking about when they were in the lava scene, and he was saying like for actors, before with the green screen, they always had to imagine what was going to be there, right? And everyone's imagination of a bunny or whatever it is that they're imagining could be slightly different. Now with the way the Mandalorian filmed with the screens and everything, everyone sees the same thing, so they all can imagine the same thing, which is
very cohesive.
So crazy to think about.
I think it's funny. I thought that was one of the most insightful comments. We're going to do this in another video. We're not going to spend much time on this, but that was one of the most insightful things that I thought he said is out of anybody. Like some of these things you had got in other articles, but from like an acting perspective, and obvious, the more you can see, the better. But he's like, everybody has a different, even if you have a perfect description in the book, everybody has a different idea of what Aragorn looks like, as we'll see in another video where we're filming right now, like animated versus live action. You're always getting different takes on stuff, but when everybody's seeing the same thing on those virtual production screens, but in this show, they probably were guessing did not have that. So, but that's even more of a credit to actors that can do that without seeing what they're interacting with, because it's very difficult for sure. Very difficult.
You know what's so funny though? He always reminds me of Tobias from Arrested Development.
Soda. You know that you can get a refill on any drink you want here, and it's free.
It's a wonderful restaurant.
It sure is.
Tobias wants to be an actor, and he always goes to him, and he always gives him money for like the worst acting lessons. But it's so good. If you guys haven't seen Arrested Development, also on Netflix, check it out. But dude. The dog. What did you think of the fur? Like even the fur on the monkey and the dog and all that. Like it felt like really good, right? Like I was shocked for the quality. Don't get me wrong. It's not HBO quality, but it's better than Call of the Wild quality. Well, maybe not rendering quality, but like at least the way the animation came across with the monkey and the dog.
Well, and I'm sure being in zero gravity helps a little bit because we're not as used to seeing that. Versus like how does wet hair react? How does hair under gravity react? But I didn't think about that even for a moment. So for me, that means it passed. And that's the unfortunate thing is if you see something that doesn't work, your attention's drawn to it. Like Ben Burt, the guy who did all the sound, he kind of created the position of sound designer. He did all the sounds for Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and just very famous. But he was just saying, like, when he did the lightsaber sound, one of the most iconic sounds you can think of ever, and like the Darth Vader, all that. He goes, the first time they screened the lightsaber sound with the footage, no one said anything. And he goes, I didn't do a good job because later on I found out if no one says anything, that means it passed the test, Whereas in this case, the fur, I didn't think anything. Sometimes you see stuff and it's so beautiful, you're like, ooh. But other times, if you don't notice that, it means it works fine.
Yeah.
You know?
And I love the whole Iron Man perspective too. Like you have the task going on, you see the monkey like freaking out, like especially when he's like spinning around and stuff like that, or when he's going into the other satellite when he's getting captured. You see his hands, he's like happy and he's like, no, don't go.
Don't go. Don't be a try. You're not even resisting. You're not resisting. Now, so I've got to ask. So I don't know as much about the show as Nick. Because Nick,
I'm farther in than John right now.
Yeah. So is this like The Witcher, to where they already renewed it for a second season, or
I have no idea actually.
I'm curious to see because this could, like you said, I mean, they lost friends. Mm-hmm. They're losing The Office. This could be their answer to it. But then again, it's so hard to recreate. Those were already huge franchises before Netflix had them. I mean, it's hard to recreate that. But even if you get just a season or two, it's just a silly, fun story.
It is. You know? And the ending is left with a major cliffhanger. So there is room for a season 2 for sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. If you guys get a chance, check it out. If you like Steve Carell and Office kind of humor, I think you would enjoy the show. It's not getting the best with ratings overall, but then again, we're comparing it to The Office, which is like one of the greatest comedies on television, and it also changed the way we see comedies on television. You know what I mean? The whole idea of the canned laughter and just being like very dry humor in the moment, real stuff. So. I mean, it's hard to beat The Office.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just not a fair. It's like us doing the Lord of the Rings live action versus the animated, which we're still doing. But it's very difficult because, one, you have preconceived notions on what Steve Carell should be like, and him cursing on screen. Some people might not like that, you know. And then
but he always yells though. He goes, "Where are the turtles?"
Yeah. So, but then you're also used to getting, just Office, like very regular lighting and stuff, not space stuff. And then this might be a side thing, and we can cut this out if we don't like it. But there's a lot of stuff going around about like very sensitive between nations and things like that. And some people might not like the idea that they're depicting this conflict with China. And I mean, if you think about one of the biggest breaches of U.S. security in recent years was when China hacked, or when Korea hacked Sony when they released The Interview, which was a comedy. I mean, that was a huge thing. And so, I mean, little seemingly comedic things can have big, undertones, and some people don't like that stuff. So I don't know. I have no idea.
So if you guys want more content like this, hit the subscribe button. We post 3 videos a week. We do podcasts, and we're doing some cool stuff on the website. Check out asart.space. We're not web coders, but we're learning. Because that's what web people do. See you next time.